welcome to my show Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with another new episode and a new recipe from the heart of Pakistan. This recipe is super easy, super delicious, and people who love vegetables, and at times I know people don't feel like having meat or chicken or seafood, so this is a recipe that could fix your hunger within a few minutes with a lot of energy derived from all the nice fresh vegetables, and we use some yogurt in this. This recipe has yogurt, yes, but if you are avoiding yogurt or if you're lactose intolerant, what you can do is, I would like to tell you that you can replace the yogurt with coconut cream, because I do know that nowadays people have gluten allergies, people have lactose intolerance, so I'll keep on telling you things you could replace with, and we're using gram flour in this also, so if you cannot take any form of flour in your diet or in your routine, you can skip this out and you can use the curry otherwise also, but this will give this recipe this nice aroma of roasted flour. So I'm using this, and this is also a thickening agent. Remember that we use flour, or we temper the flour in oil, or the French temper flour in butter to bring the thickness out of any curry, any gravy. So what are the ingredients today? But before that, what is the recipe? We're making a Sindhi recipe. It's called Sindhi Kadhi. Pakistan has a desert area. It's called the Cholistan Desert, and the same desert also stretches out to India, called Rajasthan. So this recipe comes from Rajasthan, and this recipe has a lot of yogurt. Why? Because wherever you will have lack of water, which means there is lack of irrigation, lack of rivers or canals, and obviously deserts do lack water, and they mostly rely on the boring water, which means they dig 20 or 30 meters deep into the ground, and when they hit the water down, they bring it up back with water pumps, and so they grow vegetables like coriander, cauliflower, tomatoes, which do not require a lot of irrigation. So this recipe has a lot of yogurt. Why? Because these people have a lot of cattle. They have a lot of cows, buffaloes, or you can say even sheep and goat as their own livestock, and these are the assets of those people, those villagers. So their diet consists of a lot of milk, and yogurt comes from milk. They have a lot of ghee. Ghee is a form of butter which comes from boiling the milk. It's basically the fat which they use in their recipe. So today's recipe is very easy, very quick, and this recipe has two versions to it. So people who do not have access to a lot of livestock, a lot of yogurt or milk, so they make it on the basic level where you just use water, and if you have access towards livestock, you use yogurt also. So now this is done. So the ingredients are as follows. You need some tamarind paste. It's easily available in any market. Then you need some turmeric. You need some gram flour. Gram flour is actually chickpeas which are grounded or pounded down to the flour form. Then you need some red chili flakes. You need some curry leaves which are dry. If you find fresh curry leaves, that's fine. You need some small sized potatoes. I'm using 4. Then you need some green chilies. Fresh would be good because the freshness has this aroma which adds to this recipe. Then you need around 3 cups of yogurt because this recipe will be yogurt oriented. Then you need oil, tomatoes, cauliflower. If you don't find cauliflower, the other substitute for cauliflower could be broccoli. Then you need some coriander, green coriander, ladyfingers, also known as okra. Then ginger garlic paste, chicken powder. In the spices, the local Pakistani spices which are famous around the world, you would require some cumin seeds, some fenugreek seeds, salt to taste, and last but not the least, mustard seed. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to prepare the spices. But before that, what I'll do is I'll tell you what to add in the first go. So firstly, you would just require some mustard seeds, some fenugreek seeds, some cumin, red chili, and we need some gram flour. So these are the spices which we will temper, which means we will fry in oil. Why do we fry the spices in oil? Because it doubles the flavor. Remember this, if you just add it in the water, it will be different. If you fry the spices and then you add water to it for the curry, it will be different. So now, bring the pan to heat. I'll put it on medium heat. Now this is done, add oil to it. I'll add around 8 tablespoons of oil. The remaining you can keep on the side and use it later on. That's completely fine. I'm using a green board. A green board is usually used for vegetables that in the culinary world. When the oil will come to heat, what you will do is firstly you will add the spices. What will happen is I'll roast the spices and then I'll add the other things. So just take a spatula, a wooden one preferably. Firstly add some cumin seeds. Mix it. I've added the seeds when the oil was on medium heat, not completely hot. You can see the bubbles coming up. That's what I wanted. Now you will add the fenugreek seeds. Tilt it. Keep moving it. Now you will add the mustard seeds. So now when you add the mustard seeds, you need to remember that when they start popping, that's the time you add the other ingredient. And the other ingredient would be gram flour. Why? We don't want to put it right now because it will start thickening it, right? So I can hear the popping sound now, and here it goes. So now goes in the red chili flakes. Mix it up. Reduce the heat to low and add some gram flour quickly. Keep mixing it off the heat. Why? Because you do not want to burn the flour. The pan is already pretty hot. Keep mixing it. Take it back on the heat now. And now you will add some ginger garlic paste. You will add the ginger garlic paste right now. Why? Because you want to fry it, because at times the ginger garlic paste also has some moisture which is naturally derived from the ginger and garlic, and some companies also add water which they don't tell you, so you want to evaporate that water immediately. Now this is done. Keep mixing it. And now what you want to do is you want to add some water to it. So I'll add just 1 cup of water on high heat. Temper it. Slowly mix the water in. Why am I slowly adding the water? Because I want the water to get mixed with the gram flour and get it thick. If you add all the water immediately, the temperature of the wok will come down. When the temperature comes down, the recipe is compromised and you won't get a proper thick texture. Okay, this much is enough. Take the water on the side and now just let it come to boil. So till the time this comes to boil, what we need is, we need the potatoes. I'm going to use the potatoes with the skin, but you need to remember one thing, that the potatoes must be washed properly. Now I've brought the wok to the pilot so that the water in the wok stays hot, but not too hot. You do not want it to evaporate everywhere, because why? If it evaporates, the consistency of the recipe will get adjusted and you do not want that at all. Okay, so now the ingredients which are left are these. There are pretty many ingredients still. Okay, so now what I'll do is, I've taken these potatoes, cut them from between. I'm using the smaller size ones today. If you see a potato like this which has some impurities in it, it's not a lot, throw it away. I would prefer that. Why? Because the impurities flavor can also seep into the ingredient. A lot of mothers who are watching this right now in Pakistan would be like, why is he wasting it? But that's not called wasting it. That's called being careful. Why? Because these are the small things that can cause cross-contamination, and I wouldn't like that, because when you have cross-contamination in your kitchen with your ingredients, what happens is you fall sick. So these are the small differences when you cook at home, when you cook at a restaurant. You need to be very careful with all the ingredients. Why? Because you do not want your health to go bad just because of some small savings you could do for a few, not even dollars in Pakistan, for cents that matter. Because you know how much a kilo of potato is in Pakistan? Only for 20 cents. That is it. Okay, so now this is done. What I'll do is, firstly I'll add some salt to taste. So this recipe will serve around 4 to 5 people. So I shall add around half a teaspoon of salt. Now, what will happen is I'll start mixing it, and once I mix it, I shall add the potatoes in it. So this recipe is filled with a lot of vegetables, which means when the vegetables will boil with the water, when it will boil with the yogurt also, what will happen is the flavor is going to come out, and you will also get a nice vegetable broth from it, which will also have some chicken powder. Why? Because back in the day, people used to add chicken stock in it, and the stock is derived from where everyone knows, when you boil the chicken or the chicken bones. Okay, this is done. Let it come to boil, give it a lid. Why? When you give it a lid, evaporation is controlled. Okay, this is done. Put it on medium, let it cook. Till the time this is cooking, what we'll do, we'll use around 3 tomatoes. Okay, so I'm going to choose the most red ones out of these, because I like the tomatoes to be red. What happens is when the tomatoes are red, you get a good flavor, because the greener the tomatoes are, they're not good. They're not going to taste rich. They will have a different flavor to it. And some recipes do require you to have some greener ones in Pakistan, but this one will be focusing on this one, this type of tomato. Okay, reduce the heat even more, and now start cutting the tomatoes very thin. I should cut the tomatoes thin. Why? Because I've told you in other episodes also, whenever you cut the tomatoes thin, it's easier for the tomatoes to break down. Okay, now let's just get with this. I'm just slicing it really fine. See, this is done. So there are other forms of curry also, of the yellow curry we're making today. In Pakistan, what people usually do is, back in the day, they used to fry vegetables and add them on the top. That's what we're going to do, because I want to teach you the most authentic version of it, which will have okra on top. But nowadays what people do is people make a paste out of the gram flour, and then they dip the vegetables, and then they deep fry the vegetables to get a nice crispy coating on it, and that thing which is fried is called a pakora. It's actually a very delicious thing filled with a lot of fat, but that's how Pakistanis eat it. Okay, now increase the heat to high. Transfer the tomatoes into the wok. Okay, now you can see the oil is on top, and you can see bubbles which are thick and slow. That means that it's cooking properly, and when the oil comes out, that means the curry is ready, but the potatoes are still raw. So now the second part is you will add tomatoes to it. We want the tomatoes to fry right now, because when the oil comes on top, the tomatoes will get a nice frying element to it, and the texture will get smooth and it will change accordingly. So slowly and gradually keep doing this. Okay, mix it up. Now, what you need is, you need half a cup of water. So, half a cup of water. Mix it up properly. And now what you need to do is, try submerging all the ingredients, push it down, take a lid, put it on top, and on medium heat, let it cook for 10 minutes till the things break down and are soft. So till the time this is cooking, go for a short break. Keep watching Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef, Basim Akhund. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef, Basim Akhund. So in the break, we just kept it on medium-low heat, and as you can see, it's almost done, but not the recipe itself completely. But if you see, the tomatoes are really soft. They're breaking down. And now what you'll do is just slowly and gradually move it so that you can start mashing it. Not too much. Wherever you feel the potatoes coming in between, just move them on the side and then move it again. So this is almost done. Now what you want to do is continue. Okay, so now you just need to add a few green chilies. I'll use around 6 of these, or maybe 5 of these right now. and finely chop them. Give it a lid again. Why? Because you want to control the evaporation, remember that. Finely chop them. I'll let you know again that whenever you chop a green chili, when you see these seeds, the heat that comes in this is from the seeds, not the skin itself. Take the top part off. Now slit it from between. Now you can see these seeds. What you'll do is take the tip of the knife, just push it, and you can see the seeds are out. Same way you could do this. And now these are the things that gives you the heat. You don't use these. Get the skin and just chop the skin like this. And the other one also, and use it in the recipe. So now if you want this heat, use the seeds. If you do not want the heat, discard it. That's done. So now just throw it on the side. This is ready. Keep mixing it properly and add the green chilies in this. Slowly and gradually add it. Now what you need to do is you need to take the gram flour, keep it on the side, and first of all add the chicken powder into this. So whenever you're mixing in the chicken powder, you need to add it very, very slowly on the top. As you can see, it's getting dissolved properly. And there goes the whole thing. So now mix it up properly, keep it on the side. This is done. Okay, now you add the curry leaves first of all. Mix it up properly. As the green chili hits the sauce, you can easily smell the fragrance when it starts to heaten up. Why? Because that is the punch you need in the recipe, and that's what all the Pakistani cooking is about. Okay, now goes in the turmeric. Mix it up. Fold it properly. The color you get in this recipe is from turmeric and nothing else. Remember one thing, you will not use artificial color or anything that brings out this yellow texture or the yellow color. Why? Because when you have an ingredient which is all natural, which is turmeric with so much of healing properties, might as well use that. And also, we're lucky in Pakistani cooking, in Pakistani cuisine, we use everything fresh. You need to add some cauliflower. Okay, so how would you add the cauliflower? Let me tell you. You need to use only the flower, not the stems. So take a paring knife, which is a small knife, and first cut through the sticks. I'm teaching you this why? Because you need to do minimum wastage. This is done. As you can see, that's the stem. I was just feeling it, and pass your knife through it. Now this is done. What you need is, you do not want these things. Throw it in the dustbin and clean the board out. You can see the texture getting thicker as it goes. Now reduce the heat to the pilot and give it a lid. Now you can see the flour is going to take some time to cook. Remember that. Okay, so this is the stem. Start cutting around it. And you will see the florets of this vegetable falling aside. Okay, now this is done. Now pull it. And this is the part we would not use. So just cut it through and take the leaves and keep them aside. This is done. Okay, now what you need is, you need to reduce the size of the vegetable. So cut it from between. The florets, so you can pick it also with your hand, see, like this. You don't want the pieces to be really big, so I'm going to use a medium size for the recipe. and this is done. Okay, so now you want to add around half a cup of water. Increase the heat to high. That's it. Mix it up properly. And add the cauliflower in the recipe. Submerge it properly. This will take around 5 minutes to cook. And give it a lid. You need to fry the okra now. So you would require around 12 to 15 pieces because this will go on top in the end. So I'll just chop them quickly in front of you. If you want to add more also, it's your call. You can add more even. Whatever you don't need, push it on the side and keep the area completely clean. Okay, so this part of the okra, you need to cut it like around 1 inch long, and then the others just half an inch piece like this. The last part, the stem, isn't used, so now we'll just go through it very quickly. When the pan comes to heat, that's the time you would add the oil, because then the oil will heat up much more quicker than normal. Remember that. Keep your eye on the stove also. Why? Because you do not want the recipe to go bad. You need to cook it properly and very evenly. Remember that. This thing will cook on high heat for around 8 minutes. Okay, now as you can see, the cauliflower is cooking. Now we should add around 1 cup of oil in the pan. It's piping hot. Oil goes in. It's gonna get heated really quickly. Okay, before doing that, what you need to do is keep this on the side, keep your chef knife on the side, and take up some salt. I will salt the okra first. What will happen is it will bring out the water or the stickiness from this. So just salt it on the board like I'm doing it. Add some more salt. This salt will fall off in the pan, so don't worry, it's not going to be extra salty. In goes the okra. Just rinse your hands once and fry the okra now. Keep moving it. Okay, while this is cooking, what we'll do is you need to add some tamarind paste to this recipe. It gives this nice sour flavor to this recipe, and which brings flavor. Keep your eye on the okra because you do not want to over fry it. Do not give it a lid. Keep the lid on the side. And now mix this up. The okra is done, so we will dish it out quickly right now first. Why? Because you don't want to overcook it, as I keep telling you. And now switch the heat off and take the okra out. I'm keeping it on a plate in front of you. With precision, do not be really adamant towards increasing your speed. The more quicker you go, you'll have more spillage of oil everywhere, which I do not want right now. Okay, this is done. Keep it over here. We do not need the pan anymore. Switch the heat off and put it on the side. Okay, whenever you have oil in the pan, it's hot, do not drain it in the sink. Why? Because if you drain it in the sink, there's a problem. It's going to get clogged. You won't realize it, but over time it will incur a lot of cost and you would be like, I wish I hadn't done that. Now take a fork or a whisk. I'll use a fork right now and just whip it up slowly. I'm just making it really smooth so that when it hits the pan, it doesn't change texture. I have some gram flour over here. I'm just going to add half a teaspoon of it. I'll tell you why. This will stop the yogurt from splitting when it hits the heat. So you need to mix this very properly. It's very less, but trust me, it does wonders. This is done. You don't need the fork anymore. Put it in the wok. Okay, increase the heat to high. Start mixing it up. Delicious. I love things with yogurt, cheese in it, and as you know, when the French eat, they use a lot of cheese in their food. When Pakistanis eat, we use a lot of yogurt in our food. And I think you would know about this, that yogurt is the simplest form or the first form of cheese when it comes to culinary. Okay, this is done. Just mix it up. You want the white part to get mixed with the thick yellow part. So now we need to check first the potatoes, okay? So the potatoes are here. Just pick one potato up. Reduce the heat to medium. Keep it like this on the spatula or the spoon. Take a knife and pass it through. As you can see, it's really soft. Pick it up and don't put it back. So I'll keep it on the side in a plate which is in the sink. Keep this back on the side. Just wipe your hands once a bit and mix it up. Bring it to boil properly, and then we will start dishing it out. So the recipe for today is ready. It was super easy, super quick, and super delicious. You can check the thickness over here of the sauce, which I'm surely going to eat after the episode is done because I love this recipe. And the potatoes are properly cooked, the cauliflower is done, and in the end I just add some nice crispy fried okra on top, which is beautiful. You would love it, I know that. And I hope you try this recipe, and I'll come with a new recipe next time with those recipes which have had an influence on Pakistan's food from around the world also. Keep watching Indus Cuisine, and I'm signing out. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.